A new investigation by BuzzFeed News shows that in the last 3 years, China has built scores of new prison and internment camps as part of its campaign against Muslim minorities. The high-security camps can house tens of thousands of people and marks a move away from the previous use of schools and retirement homes. This summer, Congress and the Trump administration have been stepping up the U.S. response to China's human rights atrocities, and Southern Baptists have been drawing attention to this. Here now to tell us more is Travis Wuso. He is the General Counsel and Vice President for Public Policy at the Southern Baptist Ethics and Religious Liberty Commission. That's a mouthful. Travis, thanks for joining us.
Thanks so much for having me.
So you have been monitoring this situation closely. What do we know at this time about how many Uyghur Muslims the Chinese are detaining and what is happening to them?
So right now, China is holding between 1 and 2. There are differing reports, but between 1 and 2 million Uyghurs in concentration camps in Western China. And what these camps look like, we have glimpses because the Uyghur community has smuggled evidence out, sort of through a long global network of activists of what these concentration camps actually look like. So we only have glimpses. No human rights inspectors have been allowed unfettered access to investigate these facilities, but they're essentially prisons. There are reports of forced labor. There are reports of torture. There are reports of forced sterilization. And what the party, the Chinese Communist Party, seems to be trying to do is to erase cultural and religious identity from the Uyghur community.
And why would the Chinese Communist Party want to do that?
Well, the pretext that the Chinese government gives is that they're concerned about issues of terrorism. But I think there is strong consensus that this is just a pretext, and that this is a targeting of an ethnic minority that is distinct ethnically from the Han Chinese majority within China, just as what has happened in other places, such as Tibet.
All right. And we know, of course, that the Chinese government has limited and persecuted Christians and Christian churches over the years. How would you characterize where things are at with Christian churches in terms of the Chinese government oppressing it right now?
Well, it's a good question. I think for those of us who, as a Christian myself, I do a lot of work with the persecuted church. And that's one of the reasons that I'm concerned about what's happening to the Uyghur community, which is predominantly a Muslim community, is that what we're seeing China do is develop these technologies, develop these systems of repression, and then export them elsewhere. We're already seeing the kinds of DNA sampling, retina scanning, facial recognition scanning that's happening in Western China being placed outside of the underground churches in Beijing and Shanghai and other places as well. So I think that what we're seeing happen to the Uyghur community is not going to stop with that community. We will see the same tools of repression used against every religious minority that China disfavors, that the Chinese Communist Party disfavors inside its country.
All right. Well, Travis Wuso, we appreciate you drawing attention to this. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for drawing attention to this.
You're welcome.